Here's the only thing that makes me nervous about the Dame Lillard situation, because if you're following it on social media, he wants to be in Miami, okay? And Portland says, well, we'd like to field offers from everyone, which makes sense. They want to get the most they can out of Miami. But he's very clear. Barry Jackson has been very clear in the Miami Herald. Dame Lillard wants to play in Miami, period, end of story. Here's the only part that makes me nervous. If this becomes more and more frayed between Dame Lillard and Portland, then I start to wonder, are they interested in doing him a solid then? Because the relationship that they've had, we said it last week. Hey, they're going to do right by him. He's done right by them. They're going to do right by him. But now there's all this stuff. I just read something on Yahoo Sports earlier. Damian Lillard addresses fans critical of his reported trade request. Have I misled them? And just the beginning part of the article, breaking up is hard to do. Damian Lillard addressed his trade request Sunday night for the first time since news broke of his desire to be dealt from Portland, with a message for despondent fans. The 7-time All-Star, 11-year Trailblazer responded to a tweet from a Portland sports radio host who expressed surprise at the number of fans who have turned on Damian Lillard. So this Portland radio host tweets out, very surprised to see the number of fans turning on Lillard today. I can't blame him for wanting a change. The previous regime failed to build a legit team around him, and the current chose to go young and rebuild. I would guess that this is the desired result by Cronin and his staff, who's the GM of Portland. Damian Lillard retweeted that and wrote, it's in my blood to take the high road. I'd love to hear what fans are turning on. Have I misled them or anyone? Fill me in. Now, all I'm saying is this. Is this the beginning of a messy breakup in the case of a spot where you thought it was going to be a clean and smooth breakup? I've been good to the organization. The organization's been good to me. I've been patient, more patient than most players would have been, superstars would have been in my situation. And now it's time for me, after 11, 12 seasons, to leave. And we thought that it was all copacetic. What if it turns sour? Because I feel like it might already be doing that. What if it turns sour? And then Cronin and the Blazers say, this guy, after we sign, who is it, Jeremy Grant?
Yeah.
For whatever they paid, like that's obviously, I think, done in concert with Damian Lillard. And then the day after he requests the trade. I just wonder if it goes south, if they are as eager to please him as maybe they once were.
Give me the great breakups in sports.
Well, but that's I would say that there are guys. Brooklyn, Kevin Durant wanted out. They talked him into staying, and then it went south, and he said, here's, I think, where I want to go, and he ends up in Phoenix. Like, I understand what you're saying. When you're breaking up, well, however things end, they're not all, but a lot of times an organization will do right by their superstars because the relationship has been there for a long time, and they try and take care. I mean, that's, you've given us everything. Give us another year. I mean, it kind of happened with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, right? Give us one more year. And then if you want to leave, we'll do what we can to get you where you want to go. And then it started to falter a little bit. And then he just flat out came out and said, I want to go to New York. And that kind of put all the power in his court, and he got it. But Damian Lillard, like, if these guys want to play hardball, if they do, if you're Portland, you're Cronin, and you have what you consider to be a better offer from Brooklyn, do you take the Heat's lesser offer, in your opinion? I'm not saying it's a lesser offer. Yeah. I'm saying, in your opinion, you're Cronin, you feel like Brooklyn is offering better. Do you accept the Brooklyn offer because you feel like it betters your team? Or do you accept a lesser offer to Miami and do right by Damian Lillard?
Then the whole do right by a player, I don't like that because, to be honest, like in 5 years, Damian Lillard is going to retire and Portland's going to be Portland, Miami's going to be Miami, the Nets are going to be the Nets. That whole concept of that I want to love on this guy and all this with the Dwayne Wade situation, I'll go there to make it so. Dwayne Wade's Miami Heat lifer. Is he going to get a job with the organization? Is this and that? He went and bought the damn Utah Jazz. Like, they are human beings and they're individuals. I always say it. It's a funny thing. We have a drop when I was like, when I saw Junior Seau get cut, I saw Zach Thomas get cut, I saw Jason Taylor get cut. I'm a young linebacker. I looked around and laying in the bed at night looking at the Skyhawk. I said, damn, my ass is going to get cut sooner or later, and they're not going to be concerned with me at all because you are an entity. These entities get involved with these organizations, and I understand that Joe Cronin and Damian Lillard, they might have had dinner together 10 times over the last 11 years, whatever it is. But at the point of I'm your GM and you're my player, that's what it is. So to your question, if they want to get as much as they can, and they know he wants to go to the Heat, now they got to work on those sign and trades, 4-team deals, work the numbers out, work all that out. I'm not smart enough. Andy Ellisberg is. But the point of, is it going to get nasty? If it gets nasty, it still is a business transaction. And
but
that's
he doesn't have any power. He doesn't have any say in where he ends up. If he ends up in Miami, it's because they're doing right by him.
And that's where the fans get involved, where, oh, well, he wants to be here. I just saw them watching ESPN now. I got it on mute. Damian wants to be in Miami. Well, if you want to be in Miami, Damian, then you might have to take less money in a deal where you have to sign and trade with somebody else and go to Milwaukee so Milwaukee can get involved in this trade or whatever those numbers are. They can make it happen if the GMs, if Joe Cronin really wants to make Dame happy, well, figure out a way to make Dame happy. Cronin and Pat Riley need to sit in a room and figure it out with the other GMs to make it happy. But this whole attachment to a player, Dan Marino is the biggest name in Miami history. The Dolphins let him go to Jacksonville, if people don't remember, because they didn't think he was the answer for the future. You are a piece of an organization, and if y'all are close, make it happen. If you get on my nerves, just like a divorce, divorces are all great until you get the attorneys involved. When the attorneys, GMs, quote unquote, get involved, they have to figure it out. Like, figure out what y'all want to do with these pieces of basketball.
Don't have to. My point is, they don't have to. Like, Portland's under no obligation to figure it out with Miami if they think there's a better offer elsewhere. Like that. I'm saying is, you don't have. You mentioned Dwayne Wade. You don't have to look any further than that. If you look at the Dwayne Wade situation, he had, we thought, the greatest relationship with the organization and Pat Riley. And when push came to shove, they were very interested in keeping Hassan Whiteside and not very interested in keeping Dwayne Wade. Even though to do right by Dwayne Wade, it would have been giving him the money that they gave to Hassan. They didn't. Now, they mended fences and whatever, but he did not become a part of the organization. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing out there. Now, I don't think that it comes to this because I think the Heat probably have the best deal to offer. So I don't think it really comes to this because Tyler Hero, really, to me, like, this is an unbelievable acquisition. But I'm just telling you that there's the possibility it goes south, where everything was, milk and honey, and then all of a sudden now there's bad blood and we're not so interested in just sending him to Miami because he wants to be in Miami.
If the milk and honey turn into used motor oil and old toilet water, it's on Pat Riley to get it back to milk and honey.
He's got no say in it either. He's only got the assets that he can give up. Like that. No. That's it. Like it has nothing to do with contract. It has everything to do with assets. It has everything to do with what's going to go back to Portland. Period. End of story. Because Damian Lillard's under contract. Mm-hmm. So if they want to renegotiate something afterwards, that's fine. Everything comes down to what does Portland value as its most coveted assets. And if someone can offer better than Miami and they want to take it, they can.
And that's why I was saying, I don't know if you need to move another piece or sign and trade. If Caleb Martin, somebody wants Caleb, sign and trade him and move that piece and make it happen.
Ira Winderman said it last night. I saw him on some national television show, but he said, essentially, the Heat is telling Portland, Bam and Jimmy are off limits. Anyone else you want, and any draft picks you want, let us know, it's yours. So That's all the assets that they have. They can't create assets that they don't have.
And with that, well, Pat, go get it. To that point, Hawk, what you just said. Bam, Jimmy off limits. Everybody else, every other draft pick, first, second round. And what can that go to now? I don't know. I know it's a certain amount of years, Solana, 6 years, 7 years out.
No, they can give up 2028 and 2030 right now. And then there's a possibility to shore up one extra draft pick. They have to work something out with Oklahoma City, who
They
instead
got to
of
give
getting
them the business.
instead of getting
strong arm them.
a 2025 protected first, they can give them a 2026 unprotected first, and then Miami can use their 2024 first-round draft pick as well. Hawk, I disagree. I think this has gone sour already. I think you're seeing it play out in real time where Joe Cronin and the Blazers front office, more than just the past 2 weeks, for years now, going back to 2 seasons, they've made promises to Damian Lillard publicly and behind the scenes. We're learning now as well that they were going to do everything they can to build a contender around him. And they failed, and they didn't. And he's been loyal, and he's told them he'll wait around, and he's done everything right by the organization. And it's gotten to the point where they told him now they're going to do something with the 3rd overall selection. Well, they didn't because they value Scoot Henderson in a very big way, which is fine. Well, guess what? He doesn't want to be around for a youth movement. And now what they're doing is they're trying to tarnish his legacy there by saying, look, he wants out now. He doesn't want to be around for what we're trying to do for him. And they didn't do anything. They gave Jeremy Grant $160 million over 5 seasons, and that's not enough. This is a player that's entering the back end of his prime that wants to win now, and Portland had him for over a decade. Rookie of the year. Guy's a scoring champion, and they failed to put pieces around him time and time again, and he's had enough, and now the leverage is in Miami's court because he's saying, I want to go to Miami, and Portland, because they're upset that he asked out, isn't willing to accommodate as easy as it could be, because you're right, Miami does have, even though the Boston media wants to tell you they don't, and Woj, who's clearly a mouthpiece for the Portland Trailblazers front office, is telling everybody that the Heat don't have good enough offer. Tyler Hero, and I get why Portland wouldn't want Tyler Hero, doesn't really fit with what they're doing. I get that, which is why a 3rd team probably does need to get involved. This idea that Tyler Hero is not this unbelievable asset is mind-boggling.
He's like a young all-star.
He's 23 years old. He had 36 points in the Eastern Conference Finals as a rookie. He's gotten better every single year. He's a 6th man of the year. He was scoring 20 points per game this past season, and he's 23. The idea that he's not a very promising asset leading a trade is mind-boggling. It's dumb. It's stupid analysis. He is an excellent asset, and Miami has enough to get it done, whether it's with a 3rd team or not. This is Portland trying to do everything they can to muddy this up because of their soured relationship with Dame Lillard.
I mean, it could be something as simple as we got to squeeze him a little bit more and we can get Caleb Martin out of it. Because the offer, is not with Caleb. And so we got to squeeze. We can't just jump at it. We've got to talk about wanting to deal with other teams because maybe we'll get Caleb Martin out of it.
For sure. And the Heat are saying we have the leverage right now. Dame wants to come to us. And because he's adamant, he wants to be in Miami, other teams are less likely to give up larger, more enticing packages.
They're scared off.
Because they don't want to bring in a guy who is 32 years old or 33 years old, and by the way, is going to be making $60 million at the end of this contract and doesn't want to be there. That's a crazy risk to take if you're San Antonio, if you're Brooklyn, if you're Philadelphia. Give up that much to bring in a guy who's making as much as he's going to make over the next 3-4 seasons, and he doesn't want to be there. He's going to be disgruntled being there in a situation that he's not fond of. That's why Miami has the leverage, and it's why they're probably less likely to just give up whatever Portland wants right now.
But fellas, the numbers match. The numbers match in the salary cap implications and all that you have to do to trade players and work it out. And it's crazy when we see all those 4-team trades. Have y'all ever negotiated selling something that you own? Have you ever? Because my boat, I sold my boat when Chaz was born. I sold my boat, and you go back and forth. At the end of that negotiation, And it was a friend of my wife's, a business partner of my wife, and I know him. I went to dinner with him. We were arguing over $500 on a Hawk. You know the story, on a $40,000 boat. $500, 300. No, 100.
It's what negotiations
120.
do. It's what negotiations do. And then you know what happens?
What it is, Hawk. But
everybody shakes hands at the end, and he comes back to Portland. They've got an unbelievable video tribute to him, and like this, it's just the way that it works.
Hawk, I've been on my boat because it's his boat, but we're still friends at the end of the day. Like the souring negotiation. You don't think Joe Cronin and Damian Lillard, if Damian does not get to Miami as fast as he wants to, him and their relationship's going to sour? It's not. It's
like you
business.
say, too, their relationship probably was that of Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley, which in our minds is like, oh, they're checking in at night before. They probably had 10 real conversations over the course of a decade.
This is a business.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard, in 35 years, the Portland Trailblazers are going to be an organization. 40 years after Dan Marino retired, you know what the Dolphins are doing right now? They're probably the best team in the AFC East. It's going to move on.
Hot take at the end there.
There you go.
There you go. You got your blog post.